Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aurora Freedom's virtual launch party. We're really excited and honored to have you all here. This isn't simply a launch party, it's the beginning of our collective effort to create lasting change in our communities. At Aurora Freedom, we know that ending exploitation and supporting survivors requires more than just awareness. It requires collaborating with one another and a shared commitment to support those who have been impacted. Thank you for joining us as we take these steps towards freedom from human trafficking together. Our agenda for the evening is to introduce you to the Aurora team, including our board members and our survivor mentors. We'll share with you more about Aurora, our mission, vision, and avenues of action, and engage each of you in some anti-trafficking endeavors this evening, including hearing from our survivor leader panel and discussing Aurora's next steps and exploring ways that you too can partner with us. If you have any questions as we go, please put them in the chat. We're going to answer them during a designated Q&A session at the end of the event. I'm really excited to introduce you to the Aurora team. I'm really grateful for all the people who have been a part of this process so far. And I wouldn't be here without the unconditional love and support of my husband, Connor. He has been a part of my anti-trafficking efforts for over 10 years. Connor currently serves as the Aurora Board Chairman, furthering our work through accountability and oversight. Connor, would you please introduce yourself and the board?
Yeah, hey everybody. So my name again, Connor McGill. I currently serve as the board chairman and the advocacy advisor, supporting Rebecca in providing services and developing programs to directly support survivors. We have six board members, each with a specific advisory role. So first we have John Branderhorst, a licensed marriage and family therapist with extensive nonprofit and anti-trafficking experience, serving as the allyship advisor. Up then is Daniel Diedrich, our awareness advisor. She has a background in journalism, digital strategy, and supports Aurora in storytelling. Gina Norman is Aurora's value advisor, using her training as a counselor to help Aurora actionize its values of justice, inclusion, and cultural humility. Melissa Bockham, our board secretary and advancement advisor. As a PhD level professor of marketing, she uses her research and field experience to advise Aurora on how to advance our efforts. Leslie McGill is the board treasurer and administration advisor with more than 40 years of experience in nonprofit management and development. If you want to learn more about our board or staff, please check out the About Us page on our website. Now let me introduce to you the person who put this all together, Rebecca McGill, the founder and executive director of Aurora Freedom. Rebecca is a clinical social worker who specializes in addressing the issue of commercial sexual exploitation. Rebecca's work in anti-trafficking spans over 17 years. She has training and experience in all levels of intervention, from direct survivor care to state-level policy advocacy. She has served as a resource family parent, human trafficking caseworker, county social worker, residential clinician, clinical coordinator, and therapist. Rebecca has also spent 3 years doing anti-trafficking work supporting minor survivors in Southeast Asia. Currently, she serves as the chair of the Coalition to End Human Trafficking in Santa Cruz and Monterey counties. Rebecca graduated with her master's in social work from the California State University of San Bernardino, where her research on effective services for youth who have experienced commercial sexual exploitation was awarded the Best Social Worker Research Award and nominated for the Best Master's Level Research. I've watched her celebrate with survivors and their success and grieve over the gaps in care. Now, she's utilizing her training in trauma-informed care, therapeutic interventions, and specialization in individuals' complex care to develop Aurora's programs and provide staff support in a way that creates meaningful outcomes. And Rebecca, I'm so proud of you. That's awesome.
Thanks, Connor. Many of you know that anti-trafficking work has been a passion of mine for many, many years. And I'm really excited to be launching Aurora and honored for the opportunity to implement what I've learned so far to create impact on an organizational level. But I wouldn't be able to do that without our staff. So please allow me to introduce you. Let me welcome first survivor leader, Marlene Romero.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marlene. I'm a bilingual community advocate and proud survivor mentor with Aurora Freedom. I am a Monterey County native with lived experience, and I'm really grateful to be doing the work here in my backyard. In my most recent years, I worked passionately to integrate culturally responsive mentorship and advocacy to best serve diverse and underserved populations. Some of those populations I've worked with in my recent years include trafficking survivors and system impacted youth and adults in our community. I earned my bachelor's in humanities and communications pre-law at Cal State University, Monterey Bay. I'm really looking forward to really being able to implement my existing knowledge and experience as a certified community health worker and juvenile victim offender mediator, mentor, and survivor leader into Aurora's mission and vision, and really just putting in the work to open up new opportunities for survivors on this platform. But thank you all for being here with us today. I'll pass it over to Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie Swartwood. I'm an Aurora advocate and peer support mentor. Through my lived experience and professional training, I help survivors on their journey of building a new life and give guidance in their healing process. As a survivor myself, I understand the importance of having peer to help walk you through your healing journey with kindness, love, and understanding. I'm working with Aurora to help create an adult support group for survivors. This is something that is close to my heart because in my healing journey, this has not been readily available, and I believe there's a need for it. One of my goals is to do direct outreach in the community to offer support to people who may still be experiencing exploitation. Outside of my role with Aurora, I am a business owner and entrepreneur. I understand that opportunities for employment are essential for someone to leave situations of trafficking and abuse, and I hope to provide support in survivors building skills and accessing resources.
Thank you both. And I also really appreciate all the love from everyone's screens. I'm definitely so both proud of the two women I get to work with and honored to have them on the team. So now that you've met some of the people behind Aurora Freedom, I want to share with you why we exist and what our work look like in practice. So more about Aurora in action. Aurora Freedom is a 501c3 nonprofit that works towards freedom from human trafficking by advocating for survivors, allying with other organizations, and raising awareness in communities to inspire action. We envision the dawn of a new day where everyone is free from all forms of exploitation. We address trafficking through 3 avenues of action: survivor advocacy, organizational allyship, and community awareness. Let me tell you a little bit more about what each of these looks like. First, Aurora supports survivors of human trafficking to feel empowered in a life of freedom. Through our advocacy avenue, we're creating pathways towards safety and healing through counseling, peer support, and care coordination. At Aurora, we believe that supporting survivors is best done as a team, with survivors at the center. Participants each receive a team of advocates trained to provide specialized, individualized, trauma-informed collaborative care services. That starts with having an exploitation-specific counselor. Through our counseling services, our credentialed clinical professionals offer counseling for both youth and adults, including assessment, treatment planning, therapy, and more. Our therapeutic services are provided through a variety of evidence-based practices that address exploitation-specific trauma and vulnerabilities, as well as co-occurring concerns, all through individualized care. One of the special services that makes Aurora unique is our Survivor Mentorship Program. Our Survivor Mentors are peer support specialists who draw on their lived experience to support others through their recovery. Our mentors, Marlene and Melanie, offer support through a relationship built on trust, mutual respect, and ongoing encouragement. They use a strength-based approach to support participants in working towards their goals and navigating complex service systems. Aurora also understands that connecting with others who share similar lived experiences can provide a unique sense of validation. That's why we're working towards offering peer support groups for survivors of trafficking. We really want to foster community and belonging in the healing journey, while also providing psychoeducation and reducing feelings of shame and isolation through a shared understanding. If you're interested in a group or you want to refer someone for the wait list, please do reach out. We're going to have groups for both adults and youth. We also know that the experience of trafficking impacts all areas of a person's life. That's why Aurora advocates want to ensure holistic needs are met. Our team offers intensive care coordination and engages with multidisciplinary partners to support participants in working towards each of their individualized goals. For youth participating in Aurora services, we also want to aid families by providing psychoeducation and support to parents and caregivers and connect families to community resources. Aurora is ever evolving because we always want to be adapting to emerging best practices and seeking ways to expand our services to best support survivors of trafficking. A long-term goal that Aurora has in place is a residential therapeutic program. This would best serve individuals that are exiting situations of exploitation. This is one of the largest largest unmet need for survivors of trafficking, especially for youth. We're creating a plan to meet youth where they're at by offering inpatient services that acknowledges every phase of healing. The goal is then to create pathways towards outpatient and alumni services that continue to meet survivors' needs. There are many reasons our services can offer additional benefits than traditional service programs. One is that they're anti-trafficking specific, and they're specialized to the unique and acute needs that many survivors have. Another is that they're individualized to the specific participant. And of course, we're very proud to offer direct service support from survivor peer mentors with lived experience expertise, both in care and in Aurora's program development. Additionally, one of the consistent challenges that we see when working with individuals that have experienced exploitation is that they move geographical locations. Individuals often don't stay in the same place due to program limits, safety concerns, and other challenges that meet their needs. And so when individuals move, they often lose the resources that they've been set up within that county, whether that be a specific social worker, a therapist through county behavioral health, a housing coordinator, or other providers. Their team resets when they move. There's similar difficulties when individuals are receiving system-based services or nonprofit services with short time limits. At Aurora, we want to do it a little bit different. We're designed to serve a participant no matter where they're at in their physical location or healing journey, because Aurora is not attached to a specific county or system, and we understand that healing comes in different forms. We're really excited for how our wraparound style can support individuals who participate in our programs. Our second avenue of action is allyship. Aurora cultivates a network of interdisciplinary partners to combat and rectify exploitation. Addressing the issue of trafficking is not something a single organization can do alone. It really takes all of us coming together to maximize and leverage resources. Any community member can be an anti-trafficking ally through their partnership and their support. Our goal at Aurora is to partner with government and nonprofit organizations, businesses, and individuals. We want to refer to existing effective services rather than duplicating them, and focus instead on filling the gaps. Locally, Aurora facilitates the Coalition to End Human Trafficking in Santa Cruz and Monterey counties to advance anti-trafficking efforts through education, advocacy, policy change, services for survivors, and the prosecution of offenders. We also partner with groups across California to further our mission. We're really grateful for our growing network and all of our amazing partners. Our third avenue of action is awareness. Aurora educates and equips the community to take action in trafficking prevention and intervention. Aurora provides ongoing training to support education to our community members. We have provided training on trafficking recognition and response, trauma-informed care, crisis de-escalation, and anti-trafficking best practices. We will be presenting at the Preventing and Addressing Child Trafficking Convening Conference in Sacramento in September on providing effective services to youth who have experienced exploitation. And we plan to continue developing trainings on best anti-trafficking and emerging practices such as intervention protocols and harm reduction. Finally, we aspire to host a podcast that discusses trafficking in an approachable and non-sensationalized way. We really want to increase the understanding of the issue of human trafficking, not just awareness that it exists. We believe that everyone can play a role in preventing and addressing trafficking, and that better awareness will lead to more action. We know that each survivor's story is their own. At the same time, there are themes that emerge in many trafficking cases. We want to highlight the complexities of those themes and help increase understanding of how trafficking occurs and how everybody can play a role in stopping it. One way that you can stay up to date on Aurora Freedom is by signing up to receive our newsletter emails. So Connor's going to share the link in the chat again. And if you sign up during the event, you're going to be eligible to win the raffle at the end of the event. And if you're already receiving our newsletters, feel free to re-sign up so you can participate in the raffle. And I'm going to pass it over to Marlene.
Thanks, Rebecca. So today, we intentionally chose July 30th, World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, as Aurora's Freedom's launch day, because our mission begins with we want to acknowledge both the urgency of the work that we're doing and the hope for a future free from exploitation in our communities. So while today marks a new beginning for Aurora, it's also a reminder that there is still much work to be done to support survivors in our communities and worldwide. We want to prevent trafficking and also just continue strengthening our communities. We want to invite everyone here today with us to join us in a brief moment of silence and unity. As we pause for a moment of silence together, we invite you to share words of hope or encouragement or solidarity in the chat. This moment is dedicated to every survivor who has endured human trafficking and exploitation, to those who have found freedom, those that are still searching for it, and those whose voices have yet to be heard. We also want to honor all of the allies, means all of you here with us today, the advocates, service providers, loved ones, families, and communities who continue to stand alongside those who've experienced exploitation with compassion, hope, and support. Thank you for all that you do. Please join us in a short moment of silence.
Thank you, Marlene.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have our survivor leader panel. In alignment with Aurora's goals to highlight survivor voices and increase community awareness, we really wanted to take this opportunity during our launch event to learn from the lived experiences of Aurora's survivor leaders, Melanie and Marlene. If you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We're going to have a designated time for questions and answers at the end. But for now, we've curated a few questions that we feel will help increase understanding for those attending here. Melanie and Marlene, would you please share with us, what is one misconception about human trafficking or human trafficking survivors that you wish more people understood?
I think when people hear the word human trafficking, they automatically think of a child being kidnapped, taken, and sold. I know for me, that's what I immediately thought of when I heard those words. It was even difficult for me to understand that I was a survivor of trafficking because of this misconception. So I guess what I would like people to understand is that the scope of human trafficking is way wider than most of us think. It has many faces. Sometimes those faces have addictions. Sometimes those faces are forced into criminality. And let's not forget about labor trafficking. The hope is that we at Aurora bring some of this to light.
I agree, Melanie. I think when we assume human trafficking looks a certain way, we unintentionally overlook the reality that exploitation can affect people of every background, every age, every gender, and every community. Um, that those assumptions of human trafficking, just looking one way can keep us from recognizing someone who may be experiencing exploitation right in front of us. We know that it's a crime that's hidden in plain sight. And so I think the first thing in understanding human trafficking is putting away those misconceptions. That means moving beyond like stories that we often see in movies, media, headlines. um, while they can raise awareness, they don't always tell the full story or the whole story. So I think to truly understand trafficking, we have to understand also some of the factors that play into the circumstances and the vulnerabilities that create and fuel exploitation. We have to look at those as well. Um, and for and to touch base on that last piece, as well as when we hear the word survivor, just remembering that survivors are people that are a part of our very own families and communities, not just a label or a statistic. Remembering that survivors are someone's friend, parent, coworker, student, neighbor, daughter, or son is very important. I think with the right understanding, opportunities, and support, when we have open minds, um, that really helps us come together as a community. And it helps survivors not only rebuild their lives, but uh, it opens doors for us to become leaders in our communities too, and to feel seen.
Thank you both. Would you please share what are some warning signs that community members often miss, or signs that could prompt earlier recognition or support for survivors?
In my experience, I feel that law enforcement could have been way more proactive about providing resources. I had an interaction with them where they had been looking for my trafficker, came to our hotel door, and they didn't find him there. Little did I know my trafficker was being looked for as one of America's most wanted. Now, at that moment, law enforcement could have interacted with me, could have told me the severity of the situation, or even offered resources. But instead, I was also treated like a criminal and not recognized as a person experiencing exploitation. If the interaction with law enforcement had been more positive and helpful, I may have found my freedom sooner. That's why increased awareness is so important. Law enforcement should be further trained in identifying human trafficking and becoming a community resource for survivors.
Thank you for sharing, Melanie. I completely agree with your perspective. I would add that one of the biggest warning signs community members often miss is that trafficking and exploitation frequently exists within context of relationships. So oftentimes we're taught about stranger danger growing up, right? But many people don't realize that trafficking often happens in relationships where trust is already built, or we have maybe that comfortability with that person. People are often looking for specific scenarios or an image of what trafficking looks like. And when someone's experience doesn't fit that picture image, it can often be overlooked. In my own experience, um, I was a really young community member, and I had other community members um, that were much older than me and maybe much more educated, family members, school personnel, and even law enforcement watched it happen. It was just hidden in plain sight. I think part of the reason is that we all carry assumptions. We make judgments about who could be trafficked or what exploitation looks like, or who we believe is at risk. So sometimes those unchecked biases can keep us from seeing the full picture. One of the most important things we can do is really just slow down, listen, and build genuine relationships with those around us. When people feel safe, seen, and heard, then they're more likely to reach out for support. And that was something that came difficult to me. So we can't fully understand someone's circumstance without context. And we can't gain context if we've already made a story or an assumption in our minds about what it looks like or what it is. So I think when we choose curiosity over assumptions, it's really helpful in helping recognize exploitation.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing your stories and experiences. Would you also share a time when a person, an organization, or even an act of kindness made a meaningful difference in your life, and what made that support so impactful?
So, one of my most meaningful moments in my healing journey wasn't even a big event. It was something very simple. It was when people chose to show up for me in the smallest ways that made huge impact. There were people who opened their homes to me, friends, family members, invited me to their dinner table. Um, Friends and family who answered my calls to allow me to tell my truth, or allowed me to just be myself without expecting anything in return. It was really those simple acts that made me I started thinking about what a life without exploitation could look like for me. Those are the simple moments that gave me hope. They showed me that not everything is transactional and that I did have choices and that I was worthy of love. Some people did care about me. And so I was treated with dignity, and it really sparked, like I said, I just imagined what a life would look like for me out of exploitation. So later on, as I began learning about human trafficking, um, and I really want to say shout out to all my prevention educators out there, because without education, I probably wouldn't have made it out. I realized something that I carried for so long that wasn't true before I started learning about human trafficking. And that was that what happened to me was my fault. It was really normalized in environments that I grew up around. Um, so the truth changed the way I saw myself. I stopped seeing my experiences as something that defined me or something that was just normal. And I began to see that they could become a source of purpose for me in my life. I never thought in a million years that I would one day be sitting here using my story to support other survivors. Because when you're living a life of exploitation, it really is hard to see what another day holds or what the future holds. You really never know. But when someone believes in you and creates space for growth and new opportunities, including the opportunity to do the work I'm doing with Aurora today, I think that really does, it just makes an impact. Sometimes people think supporting survivors means having all the answers, but even sharing platforms and sharing knowledge and resources, like I said, that dinner table, that seat at the dinner table was really helpful for me.
Thank you so much, Marlene. I would say a super impactful moment for me was the first time I shared with somebody that I was a survivor of human trafficking. People around me and my friends knew what I had been through. Some of my friends walked through it with me, but the courage it took me to tell somebody who was outside of that lifestyle that I was a survivor was incredibly hard. But when this person created space for me and received what I was saying with such warmth and kindness, it reassured me that speaking my truth is worth saying. It was actually our very own Rebecca. This kindness has fueled part of my healing journey and definitely has given me the courage to help others.
Melanie, I'm really honored that you trusted me to share your story with me. That's really what Aurora is all about. Thank you both so much. We're really grateful to have you both on this team. For our last question, if you could tell every person in this room one thing that they could do to help support survivors or create more hope in our community, what would that be?
I'll go. If I could or if I can ask everyone in this room to do one thing, it would be to continue learning and staying involved. Human trafficking has only been considered a crime in our country for, see, about 25 years. So it's still a very new thing, right? We know that it's been around since the beginning of time, but learning about it and learning how to take action is still new and something we're still all learning, right? So I often think about it as proximity and context. So when we learn about human trafficking, not just as a global issue, but as something that's happening right here in our very close communities, we gain a little bit more context of what it looks like here for us. That context helps us move beyond those misconceptions that we talked about earlier. And we get to recognize vulnerabilities that fuel human trafficking. I also identify when exploitation may be happening around us. But context alone isn't enough. We also need proximity. So when we stay connected to our community, so that means checking in on the people around us and really trying to build genuine relationships, that's often how we notice when something just isn't right. That's when those red flags really start coming out. And I think once we recognize it, then we have the opportunity to respond. I also encourage each of us to look within our organizations. That means the networks that we're a part of, organizations that we work for, workplaces, schools, communities. We can start asking ourselves, where do vulnerabilities exist that fuel human trafficking? Where are the gaps in resources? What policies, practices, or like partnerships could be better to help protect people from exploitation just in our network? So just taking a closer look at that, because everyone has the ability to be a voice and creating safety around us. So just really keeping our antennas open, in the networks that we're a part of and being a voice.
Yes, thank you, Marlene. I would ask that people set aside any judgments when interacting with a survivor, right? No matter if it's a youth or an adult, every survivor's journey is different. We don't know where they came from, what they went through. So I believe that meeting them where they're at and providing a safe space is what's most important.
Um, yes. Thank you both for your incredible insight. We really appreciate your willingness to help all of us learn. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to share that at the event here tonight. At Aurora, we really envision communities where lived experience is valued, where barriers to resources are reduced, and where individuals feel empowered. Right now, Aurora is already serving a couple of participants across Santa Cruz and Santa Clara counties. There are 4 youth currently on our wait list for peer support and specialized counseling services. And we've had partner organizations requesting information on how to refer more youth for services. Clearly, there's a need with a gap that we hope to fill. But in order for us to take the next steps, we have to develop staff pathways for sustainability. We really hope to secure funding for our work through multiple avenues. Through contracts, by partnering with counties and Medi-Cal systems so Aurora can bill for services long term, through grants by pursuing funding from state, federal, and private foundations who fund anti-trafficking and cross-sector work, and through community support, which is where you can come in. The best way that we can receive contracts and grants is to demonstrate that our services are effective. And in order to demonstrate that we are effective, we need to be doing the work. And to do the work, we need funding now. Every dollar of flexible funding helps us say yes to survivors faster, to a new participant, a new mentor, a new training, without waiting on a grant cycle. Currently, we've been able to employ our survivor mentors and offer services through a foundation of savings that comes from supporters over the last several years that have faithfully given. We're really grateful for these long-term investors who have believed in us all this time. But as we're ramping up our programs and initiatives, that fiscal need far surpasses our current resources and income. Every survivor deserves access to compassionate support, meaningful connection, and opportunities to heal. Tonight, we're inviting you to link arms with us on this endeavor. There are several ways that our family, friends, and community can partner with Aurora. One is to support Aurora with a one-time donation. Your generosity helps provide services to individuals impacted by exploitation and human trafficking. Another is to become a freedom fighter. That's joining our monthly giving community, which provides reliable support that sustains consistent care for survivors all year long. You can also become a community partner and support Aurora Freedom and make a lasting impact through sponsorships, through workplace giving, in-kind donations, or strategic partnerships. Finally, you can give the gift of your time and skills to support our work by volunteering. Any gift is more than a donation. It's an investment in hope, in healing, and in lasting freedom. If you'd like to make a donation to Aurora Freedom, you can visit our website using the QR code on the screen or the website link that's pasted in the chat. Our ultimate goal is to be able to raise at least $150,000 to secure a minimum operating budget for the fiscal year for our current staff and service plans. And every little bit counts. $25 provides a trauma-informed resource kit item for a survivor, like a journal, a comfort item, or hygiene essentials. $50 can provide transportation and care coordination support to another service need, like medical care, legal help, or other vital resources. $100 provides a specialized counseling session, and a gift of $500 provides a month of mentorship by one of our survivor staff. And here's why tonight matters. Aurora is still in its launch phase. That's why you're all here. This is our launch party. That means that every gift right now, it doesn't just fund a service. It helps us build the case for larger contracts, grants, and funding down the road. Funders want to see that we have community support behind Aurora before they invest. So your support would be proof that to future funders that our community stands behind Aurora's work. Your gift would do double duty. It would serve survivors now, support our team in our work, and open doors for future funding. Aurora Freedom is a certified 501c3 nonprofit, which means all gifts are tax deductible and every dollar goes directly towards the survivor services and community work that you heard us talk about tonight. Together, we're going to turn compassion into action and help create new dawns of hope. Thank you all so much for listening tonight and for being here in support. I just want to thank everyone for celebrating our launch with us. This is such an exciting time. We're really grateful to be here and for all the things ahead. If you're interested in partnering with Aurora or you have feedback on our services or trainings or training topics that you feel would be most helpful for the community, if you would please fill out an interest form. I just dropped the interest form in the chat. And then everyone that signed up for the newsletter will also get information as we grow and increase our programs and services. And you can follow Aurora on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, as well as check out our website. But thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining us tonight and for your consideration and joining in the fight for freedom and your support.